Hello everyone, welcome back to another week of strength training with Para Rowing Foundation. I am joined by Kat Valdez today. Thanks for joining again, Kat. And we are going to be working in a seated position today with a band as well as some light hand weights. I do recommend light. We're going to be working some of our rotator cuff muscles, and we want to make sure to target those small groups. And then, find a comfortable position and we will get started. So we're gonna get started with our band. Elevations, depressions, protractions, retractions, like you all know how, but we're gonna do a little bit of work with the band here. So let's start with our elevations and depressions. Hands should be about shoulder width apart, but they can be a little wider if you know your shoulder mobility isn't great. And we're going to start by reaching our hands up and over. And now shrug the shoulders, punch those fists towards the sky, and then squeeze these shoulder blades down into the armpits to draw the shoulders away from the ears. So as we're doing this, really shrug, think about staying in a toaster slot. So this whole movement as we draw down and then punch up is all vertical. So you're thinking about sliding your shoulder blades on a surface like a wall, right? Something that's nice and flat. So we're not getting into the three-dimensional movement of the shoulder blades yet. We're just moving them down and then pushing them up. Again, what we're doing here is we're establishing our range of motion. So for most things, we don't want to be at this level of like an aggressive depression or elevation ever. But one of the best ways to figure out where you are is to say, can I shrug my shoulders anymore? Oh, well, maybe I'm a little too elevated. Let's do two more. Depress, squeeze those shoulder blades down like you're tucking the tips of your angel wings into your back pockets. Last time. Keep a little bit of tension on that band out and then draw down. All right. Whew. Shoulder protraction, retraction. We're going to go with the band behind the back. All right, so make sure, try to find a flat spot just so that you don't whack yourself in the back of the head at some point. And you're going to wear it around you like a shawl that you're going to the opera in, okay? Hands come straight out in front of you. All right, so you want that band right tucked around the shoulder blades. And as we protract, push the fingertips away. Feel that band tighten as you stretch it, and then retract. Feel the tension in the band release as you draw the shoulder blades back. Protract. It's like you're punching forward, and then retract, draw them back and down. So as you're protracting, right, I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about the serratus muscle. It's also called the boxer's muscle. This muscle right underneath your armpit. So if you think about how you would throw a punch, right, that's that muscle that you're engaging to get that protraction as you push the band away from you. So really try to find that tension underneath the armpit all the way down towards those bottom ribs. Let's do two more. And as we're here, now we're in that horizontal plane. So we're wrapping around the rib cage and then drawing back and release your band. Nice work. All right, let's do a little banded pull apart. So from here, hands are a little wider than, or about shoulder width apart. We're gonna pull out to about a 45-degree angle and then reach up and over your head. And then draw it back down and release. Now with that pull apart initially, I want you to keep the same amount of tension the whole time. So the challenge with the band is because it has that give, a lot of times as we come up and overhead, there's a little kind of jerk in, right? So keep that tension out so that all your stabilizers are working to keep the shoulder in position and the shoulder blade in place as we lift and lower. And let's add a little breathing component to it. So as we pull and lift, exhale. And then as we bring it down, inhale into the backs and sides of the rib cage. The exhale on the way up is going to help you draw that top set of ribs down so that we're not opening and flaring the rib cage as we bring it up overhead. All right, one more. Shoulders should be getting nice and warm at this point. So it's pull. Shoulder tips stay down as we raise. Keep that tension as you lower down, and then release. Very nice job. Give yourselves a little roll out if you need to. All right, go ahead and flip your grip to palms up. We're gonna do an external rotation. So thumbs are pointing away from you and hands are about shoulder width apart. Step the shoulder blades down the back. So think slightly depressed, slightly retracted, all right? Elbows are not gonna move here, okay? We're just going to press the thumbs back so that you create like a high belt with your band right underneath where a heart rate monitor would go. And you should be feeling this in the back of your shoulder, all right? And you can even try it. You can see if you do this without a band, press into the back of your shoulder and you can feel that muscle engage to help with that external rotation. So we're trying to keep the elbow stationary so that we're pivoting right in that socket of the shoulder capsule. Let's do 3 more. Exhale as you pull apart. Inhale, bring it back forward. Thumbs point away from each other the whole time. Should starting to feel that little burning sensation radiate down the arm and bring it back in. Nice job. All right, we are going to do a little bit of wrist work today. So let's just give the wrists a little roll just to wake them up. So intertwine your hands here, and we're just going to roll in a figure 8 or a circle. You can do whatever feels good. If you are doing a figure 8, make sure that you change directions every now and then. We're getting all those different angles, bumping into the crevices of your wrist's mobility, all the different directions it can go in. All right, nice and awake and alive. All right, let's hit a couple of extensions and flexions with that wrist. So right hand is gonna go out, stop in the name of love, and then pull those fingertips back towards the top of your forearm. Hold for a couple seconds, and then switch directions. So now you're pulling your palm towards the underside of your forearm. And then switch. So just a little bit. Make sure you're not putting excess force on this part, those little wrist flexors and extenders. They're tender muscles. So you just want to, again, be thinking about waking them up. And you might be able to deepen the stretch after a few circuits through with this. But especially on that extension, when you're pushing your palm away from you, make sure that you're not overstretching. And also try to pull evenly into each one of your fingers. It's easy to just kind of pull on that middle finger. So try to make sure that you're pulling and pushing on the hand as a whole. All right, last time. And then we're going to switch directions, or switch sides. Left hand goes out. Let's start by pulling the fingertips back. And then push the palm towards the underside of that forearm. Now for rowers, right, and know that we've been doing a lot of shoulder work, and shoulder work is so important for not only rowing, but just activities of daily living as well. But now that we're thinking about our wrist movements, we're gonna be doing a couple exercises that I want you guys to think about relating to the feathering movement, okay? So that's kind of the goal of working into the wrists here, is just to make sure that we have that support and control in our wrists and hands. Let's do one last one here. Finish out with that pull of the palm towards the forearm and release. Oh, give yourselves a little shake, a little circle. All right, so what we're gonna do next It looks kind of silly, so bear with me. It's called a tendon slide. And again, think about feathering. It'll make it seem like a more worthwhile exercise. We're just gonna do it on one side to start, just so that you can link it up, okay? So you're gonna make kind of a little paw, all right? So your forefingers are curled in and your thumb is not across, so your thumb's off to the side, all right? So from here, from your little paw position, I want you to extend all your fingers up, all right? So that you're in a nice high five. Then curl back into your little paw. Now extend your fingers out in front so that you have a little duck bill, all right? And then pull your fingers back into the paw and then extend back up. All right, let's see if we can even it out a little bit. So it's curl, duck bill, curl, straight up. Think about pulling from the muscles in the palm of your hand, all right? And we're getting that articulation through the joints as we bring it down, right? So we're articulating into our paw, up to our high five, into our paw, and then out to our duck bill. So this should be like oddly hard. You should feel like there's a lot more thought going into it than you initially thought there might need to be. And let's do one more. So full duck bill, curl it in, all the way up, and end with a curl in. Oh, shake it out. Seriously, who knew you have so many muscles going on in that hand? All right, let's switch hands. So same thing, let's start with our paw. So we're thinking thumb is out to the side, all of your knuckles are curled in so that you have a little square, all right? Now, slowly open up, find your flat palm, curl back into your paw, and then flatten out horizontally, make your little duck bill. And then it's paw, straight, paw, and duck. All right, let's do a few more here, working now on that little bit of fluidity. So thinking about the articulation, we're going joint by joint on the way in, and then once you hit that little paw, you're switching the directions to go back out into either your little duck bill or your straight up. And again, you can kind of see how this is going to be helpful for getting that feathering movement, for being able to open the hand without doing that big drop of the wrist. All right, last one. So it's full open up, paw, duck bill, paw, open, and rest. Oh, all right. Now go ahead and grab your hand weights, okay? We're gonna do a lower and lift. This should warm up the shoulders a little bit as well, but we're gonna add a little flexion and extension in the wrists. I know, I'm always saying nice straight lines from wrist to shoulder, but I'm giving you permission to flex and extend your wrists. So as we come up, so as we lift, we're going to flex the wrist, all right? So you're thinking knuckles back towards your forearms. And then as we bring it down, you're gonna extend your wrist. So you're thinking T-Rex arms. So it's lift and flex, and then lower and extend, right? And you can actually think that as you're bringing the hands up, that's extension as well. So you are just having those wrists be an extension of the movement. So as we draw up, everything extends. And then as we lower down, everything extends as we come down. And then as we come up, everything flexes. Here we go, right? And again, the goal here is not necessarily the lift and lower. That's just a nice kind of ancillary benefit. The goal here is to think about moving around that wrist joint in a nice controlled manner. Let's do 2 more full sets after we get down. So it's lift and flex, lower and extend, right? And by doing this, we're just kind of moving those muscles. It gets them out of their general habits, which for a lot of us is like typing, texting. So a lot of us are gonna be in that flexed position. Last one. All right, nice work. Okay, set your weights to the side for just one moment. And we are going to do a little shoulder warm up before we head into the meat of the shoulder work for today. So these are called opera singers. So go ahead and set the shoulder blades on the back, so slightly retracted and slightly depressed. You should have nice open collarbones here. Hands go together like you're preparing to just burst out in song. All right. Now the key to this one is you really have to pull your hands apart. Okay, so I want you thinking, wow, I wish I'd cut my fingernails because I'm gripping into my hands so hard. All right, from here, you're thinking about digging an elbow down like you're paddling a canoe. Then you're going to come back to center and then dig the opposite elbow down, right? And again, this should be super hard. Like you should already be feeling like the shoulders are fired up because you are pulling your hands apart so much. And then it's like you're paddling through mud. So you're really digging that elbow down, and then you're fighting to make it to the next stroke. Okay, switch directions. So whichever elbow was coming back before is going the opposite way. And you might be confused and think, did I switch directions? And that's okay. As long as the shoulders are working, keep it up. Whew, we're gonna do 3 more. And there's a little bit of rotation here, right? So the shoulders aren't elevating a ton. Right? We're getting that from the elbow and a little bit of rotation from the torso. Last one. Whew. And release. Wow, those ones should be really tough. Okay, grab your hand weights. We are going to do another external rotation exercise. This next exercise is actually a combination of 2. So we're going to break it down. We'll do a couple of the first movement, a couple of the second, and then seam it together. So we're going to start with a 90-degree angle at the elbows. All right. Now the way to set this up, but to make sure you're in the correct position, is you make a T and then just bend at the elbows to bring your fingertips straight out in front of you. All right. Biggest tendency here is to have the fingertips too close together. So really think about 90 right angle right at that elbow. Okay. Now, I call these cactus flips because as you bring the hands up, you look like a saguaro cactus. And then you're going to draw back down to close your cactus up. So it's exhale, externally rotate, and then inhale, close the lid. Let's just do one more. Elbow stays completely still in space. And then on this one, hold the hands up. And now we're going to do an overhead press. And then draw it back down. All right. Now overhead press, we're just going to do a couple because then we're going to put the exercises together. The biggest tendency, of course, is to elevate too much. Okay. So you can think about pressing above your shoulder instead of touching the weights. The weights don't need to touch at the top. Last one, and then bring it down. All right. Take a quick shoulder roll if you need it because we are putting those 2 exercises together. And it is going to be a compound movement for the ages. All right, so start in your 90-degree angle. Fingertips are straight out in front of you, pointing towards your screen. And then as you exhale, get that external rotation, cactus arms, and then you add the press in, bring it back down, and then close your lid. So it's external cactus. Press, keep those ribs down. Draw the elbows flat, and then close the fingertips. We're just gonna do a few more of these. All right, as you press, you feel the front and medial part of your shoulder, right? And then during that external rotation, I want you to think about feeling it in the back of the shoulder, as well as kind of on that upper ridge of the scapula of that shoulder blade. Let's do, what did I say? 2 more? I feel like I always lie to people. Just focus on that breathing. You won't realize that we've done extra reps. All right, last one. Rotate. Press. Draw those elbows right back to the same position and then close the lid up and take a quick break. All right, for our next one, we're gonna do, I call this one a little tray flip, okay? So you wanna pretend like your hands are the trays and we're gonna flip them over. So we're gonna start in a T position with our palms straight up towards the sky, okay? Now from here, you're going to exhale and rotate the palms down, all right? And then inhale, rotate open, and exhale, rotate closed, all right? Now, as we're going through these, I want you to think about that rotation coming from the shoulder capsule, all right? It's really easy here to just kind of rotate the wrists, rotate the elbows, and like let it not be a very meaningful movement, okay? So what I want you to think about is that as you rotate closed, the head of the humerus rotates forward a little bit, not a ton, but a little bit. And then as you rotate open, the head rotates back and you expose more of this armpit area, okay? So if any of you did the workout with Kingsley last week, we did those axial rotations for our warm-up overhead. It's the same idea, right? That we're rotating from the shoulder, and then the rotation at the elbow and the wrists is just a consequence. Okay, only one more. And bring it down. All right, who else has arms like lead? Roll it out. Let's take a quick hands behind the back and just a nice little stretch open. Clasp those fingers and think about pushing your collarbones out towards the outer world. Nice and open through that chest. Releasing any tension you might have in the front of the shoulder. You can check here again. I like to look over one side and then the other just to make sure I'm not carrying any extra tension in my neck. All right. Okay. I said we were going to get into our shoulders and I was not lying because we are doing eyes, Ys, and Ts next. Okay. We did these with Kat prone, facing on our stomachs a couple weeks ago. We're going to do them seated today, which is going to give us a slightly larger range of motion, okay? So I'm going to have you all have palms facing forward, okay? And we'll start with our T, okay? So it's lower down, and I'm going to just come to a kneeling position just to give myself a little bit further reach. So it's T, straight out to the side, and then reach down towards your hips. And as you're doing these, right, I'm very big on the idea of finding length in your movement, right? We're not just reaching the hands up, we're also reaching out. So as you're here the whole time, I want you to pretend like you're being drawn and quartered. Not a very nice image, right? Medieval, but you have that idea that there's, horses or a stretching force that's pulling you in the opposite direction. And that's going to amp up this exercise and just give you that last little bit of work in those shoulders. I know, last thing that we need right now, more shoulder work. Let's do 2 more, and then we'll head towards our Ys. Last one, length through the fingertips as you reach up, and then draw back down. All right, now for our Ys, I forgot to mention it on the Ts, let's just check in and make sure we're not elevating the shoulders during this movement. All right, so Ys, palms are gonna face the same orientation, but we're coming out towards a 45-degree angle and then drawing back down to the hips, right? So this is kind of like that hugging one. You're ready, you're prepared to go in for a hug. Over Zoom though, because we're complying to social distancing. So let's just check in here, right? And you can do one poorly just to like feel it, is like really elevate on this one, right? You feel how that brings it out of the correct muscles, right? You should feel it up in the neck when you do that versus in the armpits and along the top of the shoulders. And we're just coming to that shoulder height. And if you feel like you do start to elevate, you can keep this range of motion a little bit lower, right? So you can stop before you get to shoulder height to make sure that you're keeping it in a range of motion where you're being effective. 3 more Ys. Go for that hug. Oh, I got a little hummingbird buddy over here. Oh. Last one. Exhale up and inhale, control. All right, for our last one, we're doing our eyes. I think Ys are actually the hardest because you're gonna have to stabilize in different dimensions. So eyes, we're just coming straight out in front, all right? And then draw it back down, okay? The challenge with eyes, okay, is actually not protracting the shoulder blades. So I'm gonna spin sideways to show you guys a bad one, right? So as I draw up, I don't wanna let those weights kind of pull the shoulder blades forward. So keep just a little bit of tension down between the tips of your scapula as you come up, so that you're thinking about that nice big lat muscle is wrapping down and it's attaching way lower than it starts. So we're having that nice long wrap of that big back muscle. And we are going to do 4 more. Trying to keep those shoulder blades flat on the back. So we're isolating from the shoulder joint. Last 2. Exhale as you lift. Inhale, lower. If you ever want to make this more challenging, you add a 5-second hold at the top of each one of those. All right? Eyes, Y's, and T's are done. We've got just a couple more of the shoulder exercises before we move on, okay? So for our next one, we're gonna do serve a tray, okay? So make your 90-degree angle at your elbows. We're gonna have those elbows tight in towards the body, and palms are flipped up towards the sky. From here, you're gonna exhale, push the hands away from you, right? This is like the end of our eye, and then draw the elbows back into that position, and then push them away. So this is called serve a tray, and I'm sure you can see why, because we are giving our friends our nice margaritas or whatever beverage of choice is for you today, and then we're drawing it away. So maybe they're not that good of friends, okay? But again, I want you to think about especially controlling the elbows in. So imagine if someone was behind you pushing against your elbows, and you'd really have to press against them to get that pull of the elbows into position. So you don't just want to kind of flop through this movement. All right, let's do 2 more. Pull in, present it out. All right, on this next one, we're gonna hold the hands out, and this time we're gonna give it to our friends off to the sides. And then draw back in and come back to your starting position. So it's a full motion. So it's reach out, serve it to your friends, find the length across your chest, draw back to center, elbows to ribs, and then repeat. Now throughout this, right, now we really have that shoulder blade movement coming into play. So especially as we go from our presentation to our friends, feel those shoulder blades kind of wrap around that rib cage. Let's do 2 more full sets. Present, shoulder blades wrap, draw together, and elbows in. Last time. Nice and long. Fingertips reach away from the torso, and rest. All right, final shoulder exercise. So this one, again, is a little bit of external rotation. So we're gonna start with our 90-degree elbows, but this time instead of palms facing up, palms are gonna face towards each other, okay? So 90-degree angle, set the shoulder blades down the back, and we're going to exhale, open up. This is like the top of our cactus arm, and then we're going to close it back down. So it's exhale, open, and then inhale, close. Now the challenging part about this for a lot of us is that we are very lopsided in our strength. So I broke my collarbone a few years ago, and my right side has never quite been the same. So as I'm watching myself here, I can see that my left side tends to lift just a little higher, and that my right side tends to shrug a little bit, right? So just something to notice. This one I find is very indicative of which side is doing better, okay? So just something to think about. Maybe if you want to, you can, drop one weight and do a couple on your weaker side, just to make sure that that side gets a little bit of love. Let's do 3 more. Really think about opening, right? It's like opening a door. So the shape of the elbow pit doesn't change here. It's just the shoulder, the ball of the shoulder joint in that joint capsule that's lifting. Last one, and drop it down. All right, set your weights off to the side, okay? We're gonna do a little bit of core work, okay? And so this one, it's gonna take a little bit of mental thought, okay? So I want you guys to think about, we're gonna be working the side waist here, okay? So all you're gonna do is lean over and find your hand on whatever surface is off to the side, okay? And your hand can be straight forward or a little bit angled. Find a position you feel comfortable with and that your wrist feels good in, okay? Now from here, first I want you to think about pressing your hand as hard as you can into that surface, all right? Now, drive that shoulder away from your ear, okay? Now, think about pulling up through the armpit so that you're pushing your body away from the hand that you're driving so hard into that surface, all right? This is an isometric hold, okay? It's almost like a modified side plank, okay? So you're thinking about really pushing that shoulder down in a way, opening up through the front of the chest, and we're holding, pressing, squeezing, and release. All right, got to do the other side. Okay, same thing. Start by leaning over, okay? Now, weight is in that hand, all right? Evenly distributed between the fingers and the palm, okay? Now, press down into the hand. Now, drive that shoulder down and away, all right? Now, think about pulling up through that side waist and really think about pulling and pressing in opposition at the same time, all right? Sometimes I like to make a fist with my opposite hand just to give me that extra little bit of tension, okay? This is about finding as much muscle squeeze, okay? So picture that overlap that's happening right now. If you could, you would be moving the ground away from you, all right? We're overcoming the load. Let's hold for 5 more seconds. Squeeze that armpit and release. Nice job. All right, so you should be fired up from that armpit all the way down to your bottom set of ribs. All right, let's stretch that out a little bit. This one's mermaid, okay? So I'm gonna demonstrate with both arms. So all you do is you kind of make this T shape, and then you're gonna draw one arm like you're scooping under your belly button, and then the other arm reaches up and over in this nice big S shape, okay? However, if this challenges the balance, you can take that hand down and give yourself a little bit of support here, okay? The goal is to stretch out those muscles we just used. So really think about getting and breathing in between those ribs right underneath that armpit, okay? If you have that scooped hand under, right, use that to think about cinching that side waist in a little bit to enhance that lateral flexion. And then let's bring it back to center. Switch sides. So opposite hand scoops under, overhead hand reaches up and over, and even though we're doing a lovely job reaching, I still want you to think about dropping that shoulder down and away from the ear a little bit, okay? So shoulder blades are not out for the count. Not yet. Breathe into those upper ribs and think about reaching with that bottom hand. Draw it back to center. Let's do that one more time on each side. So rotate, nice little pinwheel of the arms up and over. Dropping that bottom shoulder down and away. Getting that stretch all the way up the side body of the arm that's up. And center. And scoop and switch. Make sure you're not carrying any extra tension in the head here. One last exhale. Should feel nice. And draw it back to center. And release those hands down. All right, let's do a neck rotation, okay? So we're gonna do this slow. So we're gonna start by dropping the chin towards the chest. Now look towards your right collarbone. Now take your right ear to your right shoulder. Now look up at the sky. Left ear to left shoulder. Look at your left collarbone or left armpit, and then center. Let's switch directions. So look at your left armpit, nose points down towards that crease. Left ear to left shoulder. Up towards the sky. Right ear to right shoulder. Look down at your armpit. Center. Let's do one more each direction. So right side, right ear, all the way around to the back. Left ear to left shoulder. Down towards the armpit. Chin to chest. And switch directions. Left ear to left shoulder. Up towards the sky. Right ear to right shoulder. Bow the head down towards the armpit. Chest. And then come all the way back to center. All right, let's wrap it up with a couple of shoulder rolls just to make sure everything is still moving. All right, so let's start forward, okay? So rotate the shoulders forward, nice big rolls. Again, just like we kind of talked about with the wrist rolls, what we're doing here is just kind of feeling where the range of motion is. So try to hit the edges of your range of motion. And switch directions. Backwards, nice and big. I don't know about you guys, but I am feeling the side of my shoulders like crazy right now. I already think I'm gonna be sore tomorrow. Let's do two more. And on this next one, hold those shoulders on the back of the body. I want you to take one big inhale and one big exhale. Drop the shoulders. And you guys are done. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to ask. Leave it on social media, and we will be back next week with another workout. Thanks, Kat.